And we're live with Michelle Frechette. I've just finished with Jesse Friedman, who you know, Michelle, of course. If you don't know Michelle, here's your chance to get to know Michelle Frechette. She's Jill of all trades, worked in the industry for a long time, worked in support and caring and diversity and all that kind of stuff. She knows the lot. So I'm going to let you, Michelle, introduce yourself to people. You've got slides.
Okay,
Did you have a slide?
no,
Did
no
you have? Do you
slides.
have slides? Or are you just talking? Just
Just
talking.
talking.
Wow,
Just
amazing. Well,
talking.
do you want me to come in and ask questions, or no? You can get on with it, can't you? If you
It's
want
up
me,
to you.
I'm in the background.
If you feel like
I'll be in the
jumping in, you
background. I'm
can
going
always
to.
do that. Okay.
I'll be here to support you. Don't worry about that. But I've got to get
Okay,
to
sounds good.
the little boys' room, so I'll see you later.
Understood. Hi, everybody. So I am Michelle Frechette, as Andrew said, and I've done a lot of things in WordPress, including working on working on WordPress itself, working on some of the sub teams like the photography team and marketing teams in the past. And I've done a lot of podcasting. I am the executive director over at Post Status, and now I'm also working with WP Includes Me. And so I'm doing a lot within WordPress, but I'm not working for anybody full time. So I consider myself a little bit of a Jill of all trades. I'm doing a lot of marketing consulting right now and have a little marketing boutique on my website. So all that to say, I've worked with a lot of clients over the years. In my book, A Good Firm Handshake and Other Essential Business Tips, I even talk about how to qualify clients, because not every client is your ideal client. And so there's lots of different ways to think about it. But once you have a client and you've built a website for them, then becomes the opportunity for them to mess up everything that you've built for them. And that's if they have a login to their site. Of course, they own their site, they own their hosting, they have a right to be in their site. But how do you manage that? That's the real question, especially because when it comes to people, so clients are a subset of people, we know that, people have all different levels of technical ability. I know people who could log into a WordPress website for the very first time, figure it all out within an hour and build something beautiful. And I know people who don't know how to turn on a cell phone or use a smartphone at all. And so finding that sweet spot within a company, if you're building a website for a company and they're going to be doing anything with it at all, is finding the person that has the best knowledge and the ability to do what needs to be done without overdoing everything. So let's talk a little bit about how you talk to clients about their website. So I think and how they use their website. It takes a little bit of finesse, because you never want to tell a client that you think they're idiots and won't be able to manage their website. It doesn't usually come across very well when you call a client that. So instead, let's talk about the different ways that you can control their abilities to work within the site. So first is to make sure that they do have an appropriate user level. So I'm talking about their own abilities as well as how you set their user level within WordPress. So for example, if somebody is going to be blogging for the website from the company, they don't need admin access. They just need author access and maybe editor access if they are going to be helping other people. But there's lots of different ways you can do that. Within WordPress itself, we know there's a subset of user capabilities, and there's also different plugins that will let you kind of finesse that a little bit more. So you can look at how their user set is and how their abilities match. And then this next point is one that's really hard, especially if you've ever raised children. You have to make them listen. And we know that making people listen is not always easy, especially when they're the ones paying the bills. But they have to understand the severity of messing around with their own website, because the different things that can happen can be anywhere from they reversed something or wiped out something to, I don't know. I mean, I've seen people really, really mess up websites in the past. We don't see white screen of death as often anymore, but I mean, I wouldn't put it past some clients to come up with that still anyway. We're going to talk about giving them instruction with layers of learning, finding good resources for them to have, creating a user manual, FAQ sheet, good plugins, and figuring out what your charge is to fix what they mess up. Excuse me. So we want to know their user level. So what do they want to be able to do? That's the most important thing. Don't give admin access if all they want to be able to do is update a blog post here and there, or do some simple things to their website. Admin access is one of the places that will get you in the most trouble, of course, if you don't know what you're doing. So make sure that that you know what they want to be able to do. At the same time, what do they need to be able to do? So what do those levels say to you? Is it somebody that needs author access? Is it somebody who needs editor access? Or is it really somebody that needs admin access? Will you still be involved at all? So are you handing the whole thing over and it's done? The contract is over. That will be a little bit different than if you are just walking away and trying to give them all the instructions to handle on their own. If you're still involved, of course, they're going to be sending you updates, I would think, for some kind of fee. And then who in the organization needs access and what will they be doing? I've had people say, I want everybody on my team to have access. I push back on that and say, why? Especially if, let's say it's a heating, HVAC company. Like, does your service guy really need to have access to the website? Or does he just need to receive some of the emails that come from the website and then figure out how that looks? So who in the organization needs access? What do they want and what do they need will help you determine what you assign them on the back end of your WordPress website. Making them listen. I told you to make them listen. So we want to make sure that they know that even though it's not easy to break a website, they can break components of the website. They can reverse some of the things that have been done by restoring previous backups. They can look at versioning on a page or a post and accidentally reverse that as well, and then not have the current information. Make sure they understand when they make those changes that they're working on a live website, unless, of course, you've got them set up with staging first, which I would suggest. But if they're working on their live website, that any change they make is real-time changes. And as soon as they click update, those changes are going to be there. So if they don't want that to happen, they need to understand how to use the website in a better way. Explain what areas they should use. So, for example, pages, posts, forms, how to get information from a form. Let's say that all the information from one form is going to one person, and that person no longer works there, or is on an extended vacation, or even just a couple of days off. And so you want to be able to see what's come in. Show them how to get the information from a form that's been submitted. Show them what they need to have access to. Explain what areas they should not go into if they do indeed have admin access. Things like the theme editor, the plugin editor, certain settings, for example, because anybody with a little bit of an inkling of thinking they know tech is likely to go in and play around a little bit. And so you want to make them understand that playing around with a live website is absolutely detrimental to their live website. But when all else fails, money talks. And when you tell a company that things are going to cost them a lot of extra money, that's when they start listening. So you want to tell them that if they do indeed get in there and start making mistakes, that you will indeed fix it, but for a fee. And so you need to figure out what those fees are. If you have a regular fee, so let's say you are maintaining that website. So every month you get you get money to maintain the website. What's included in that maintenance? What is it that they can expect you to do? Can they send you an update for a blog post? Can they send you a change in the hours that they're open? Is that something that's within the scope of your contract? So make sure they understand what's being charged and then what's being charged because they messed up. So there are certain things in their monthly fee that are associated with what they want you to do. And then there are certain things that are outside of that scope and should cost extra money. And that should be outlined as well. And we're going to talk about contracts just a little bit later. But I always say fixing your mistakes is money times 3. So it's not just double your regular hourly, it should be triple your regular hourly fee so that they understand the severity of making those mistakes, because it means that your entire day is disrupted if you have to fix something that's catastrophic on a customer's website because they made some changes to it or they made some mistakes on it. You should be making at least triple, which should scare them into perhaps letting you do all the work. You can give them instruction as well. So when you give instructions, so let's say you're sitting down with your customers, require that there are no interruptions. The worst thing I've ever done is spend time with somebody Okay, maybe not the worst, because there are definitely worse things in the world, but it's terrible when you are working with the clients and you're trying to show them something and they're answering phones and they're applying to email and people can walk in and out of their office, because with that many interruptions, nothing is going to sink in for them. So when you do sit down to show them the website, require that there are no interruptions. Cell phones are off. They don't check their email. They're giving you their full attention. And then again, going back to what they need to know, only instruct them on what they need to know. So if they're really literally only going in there as bloggers, that's all they need to know how to do, is use blogging content and how to use posts and what in posts they can and can't do. Show them that, what the theme allows that you're using, if it's Gutenberg, how to insert photos, things like that. Give them instruction on what they need to know, not the whole shebang. And then answer their questions honestly, but with appropriate warning. So what happens if I do this? This will happen, and this may cause this error, those kinds of things. If they're wanting to upload plugins. I once built a website for a church, and they insisted that the youngest pastor, who was just in his early 20s, I think at the time, just out of his teens, be allowed to have admin access. I gave him admin access. I logged into that website about 3 weeks later, and there were 5 weather and time plugins on that website. Now, I don't think a church needs even one weather and time plugin, because they are only serving a local community, and those people can look outside their window and see what's happening. But certainly if they even wanted one, 5 was too many. And so explaining that sometimes uploading certain plugins can cause issues, and then enabling all of the plugins that do the same thing could also cause issues. They were very lucky that nothing happened. But I do like to explain the things that they might have access to that could be problematic. And then I set up 2 to 3 meetings to teach them how to use their site. If you try to set up a 4-hour learning environment, it's just not going to happen, because people do get distracted. They start to lose interest in listening. They are wondering what email has come in and what calls they've missed and what's for lunch. And so I usually set up 2 to 3 1-hour meetings where we go over chunks of what they need to know at a time. That way they can ingest it, they can write notes, they can log into a sandbox site and learn a little bit more about what they are doing. Studio works really great for that. WordPress Studio, by the way. And then I build on what I've shared before. So if I, teach them how to log into the site and how to navigate over to start writing a blog, I will reiterate some of that at the beginning, so that they make sure that they understand how last session connects with this session, and then how this session connects with the next session. So if you have broken it down into a few different sessions, make sure that they understand how those build upon one another, and also help them connect the dots between what happens when you click save draft versus what happens when you click publish, and how those things will look to different people, how you can share a blog post, but you cannot share a draft, or how you can using different tools if they want to be able to do that. The next thing I would say is find good resources for them to do some learning on their own. So W3 Schools is a place that I've used a lot of time when I want to remember how to do certain CSS or other things. Of course, they do have some more simpler things on there as well. So that's one place that they can look up some information. Suggest that they attend local meetups, and you can find the WordPress meetups on meetup.com. And you can also go to events.wordpress.org and find all WordPress official events there as well. So meetups and WordCamps, which I would also encourage them to attend if there are WordCamps in their area, or they're able to travel to one of the flagship events. Then I also suggest websites like WP Beginner, WP 101, LinkedIn Learning, even Udemy courses, and YouTube, because there's a lot you can learn about all different subjects of everything when you just go ahead and look for it on those. So if you can pre-source some of those courses for them that you think would be helpful, not too long, so that they would actually take the time and money to invest in it if it required money, I would suggest that you put a list of good resources together for them. Then when it comes to those proper warnings, I provide the why. Why would something happen? Why could something go bad? what happens if something terrible happens. And there are still outside actors like hackers and errors that they didn't anticipate, and occasional white screens, or more likely to see a string of text across the top that tells you why a plugin isn't working, and they won't know what to do with that. So explain what could happen with different options that if a site gets hacked, let you know right away, and you can work with the hosts, etc., to clean up that site. But even hacked sites should not be something that is on your fee. It should be something they're paying to you. You should not be losing time or money. And you lose time if you're not getting paid for it, right? So you should not be losing that if you have to clean up a hacked website. That's another. You'll hear from everybody how to protect your websites, and you should have that in place for them. But even so, one of my sites got hacked a couple weeks ago, and I had everything on there that I possibly could. My hosting company caught it, cleaned it up. I have new things on the website that maybe I didn't have before, like 2FA, which are now on all my websites, by the way. And so, yeah, it's one of those things you just need to make sure they understand that even things happen that they were not involved in and you were not involved in, but how to be in touch with you, what is appropriate to be in touch with you about. And I often will share with them what my contact hours are. So if they notice at 3 a.m. that their website has gone down, they're welcome to email me. They're not welcome to call me or text me. They shouldn't Facebook message me or any of the other places. There are certain ways to get in touch with me about different things. And it's always during my business hours. And your site being offline for a couple of hours probably isn't the worst case scenario. Of course, if it's something big like Amazon, if you have Amazon as your client, that's a different story altogether. Andrew.
With a couple of questions, I'm rudely interrupting you, but I basically,
yes.
Michelle, what's the worst 3 a.m. client call you've ever gotten?
So it wasn't a 3 a.m. client. It was, I was driving to WordCamp Montreal when my area of a certain host, and I had just several sites hosted in the same folder. I've learned since then, this was over 10 years ago, pre-pandemic, but every single site on that host was infected and took every single one down. The server took them down. They were like, nope, this is all sending all spam messages out through their server, so they took it all down. And I was in the car with 3 more hours to get to Montreal. And when I got to Montreal, I went to the speaker dinner, and then I spent all night cleaning up all of those websites before I gave my talk in the morning. So that was the worst one. Yeah, that was the worst one. Wish I protected myself a little bit better back then. Live and learn.
Indeed. So question for me, but not from me, but I love this question. How do you spot that client who's going to call you in tears at 11 p.m.? What's the empathy that you exude that says, oh no, this is a bit of a red flag. This person might be contacting me far too late or interrupting my life and all that kind of stuff. Because I know that you go out and do photography as well, and you're busy with other things. How do you control people trying to control your time? That's the key. How do you spot that client? Do you say yes or no, or set boundaries?
So I set boundaries with every client. That's the most important thing. So regardless of who they are and how they might seem, whatever red flags they're sending up. But some clients are red flags before they even get started. I've had clients curse at me over the phone because of what my starting price was, and how the bleep do I find myself bleeping able to, charge those fees. And I just continued smiling into the phone and said, apparently you're not my customer and I'm not your web designer. And so I, terminated that conversation. But the customer who you give the most concessions to, so you break down your own structure fee and all of these things, and you throw things in for free, are going to be the ones that need the most handholding. And so you've now you've given yourself less money to deal with more difficult customers. So I would say don't do that. Sure. Yeah. A good boundaries.
That's the setting boundaries thing, isn't it? We're very guilty of that in WordPress because we are, I come from a long background of hospitality, printing, creative, whatever. And it's always, it's in our DNA, isn't it, to serve people. And what we've got to remember is sometimes people don't tip, so we have to charge them the right amount of money at
Right.
the very beginning, make it very clear what those boundaries are. Okay,
So,
cool. You've got another 5 minutes or so.
okay.
I'm
Well,
going
let
to
me
leave
tell
you alone. It's a great. Yeah, tell me.
Let me give you this quote first. So Will Rogers said, "Good fences make good neighbors," and I always think about that when I talk about setting boundaries, because boundaries with your customers make good customers, and they make you a good business owner. Okay, I'll get into the rest of it real quick.
Brilliant. Okay. You got 5 minutes, and then we probably got another couple of questions. So
I'm busting through. Okay. So I make a quick FAQ for them. At the very top, it says, "Don't panic." What are the different plugins they have, how to use them, what is some basic editing instructions, how to add a form if they need to add a form, some basic SEO steps so that when they are working on blog posts, they can fill out that SEO section with whatever plugin you're using. I teach them how to back up a site before they're going to make changes, the importance of updating their sites, and then how to do page and post revisions. So just a quick handy reference they can put on a bulletin board or stick in a drawer and pull out if they need to. Helpful plugins are user role management plugins, backup plugin automation and hosting backups. Make sure that they have something on there. Don't just rely on your host to do backups. So they should have those backup plugins as well. And then I like the WP rollback because it lets you roll back plugins and themes. So if somebody has indeed updated something they shouldn't have and it caused a problem, WP rollback, which is free in the repo, allows you to roll that back. And then WP 101 is a visual tutorial that you can put on your website as well as a plugin, and that will let them see some visual tutorials as they go through their website. And then the last thing I want to say is charge appropriately to fix it. Make sure it's in your contract. Anything that is outside of your contract should also be in your contract. So this contract does not include at the bottom fixes. This is how much per hour that is. Like whatever it is that you don't include in your contract, but they may contact you for, needs to go at the end of their contract as something not included, but what it would cost them if they were to use your fees for those things. It just helps you set those boundaries again. Don't take pity on people. I made that mistake a long time ago and I cost myself a lot of money. Remember that their emergency is not your emergency. So this past week, I've had a medical crisis with my family, and I have had to tell people they need to reschedule and that they can find somebody else if they need somebody else to do it. I can suggest other people, but my emergencies are my emergencies. Their emergencies are their emergencies. Their mistakes might be your next nice dinner or vacation, depending on what it is that they are making mistakes with and how much you need to charge them. They always used to say that the orthodontist, like, oh, my child got a new set of braces. I just paid for his next ski trip or his next golf outing. The same is true when you need to fix somebody's website. That might be your next really nice night out. Okay, I did it.
That's magnificent, brilliant. Because we ran late yesterday, the penalty that our speakers are paying today is that I'm finishing a minute early.
It's all good.
I don't want
I got through all my notes.
You're dropping gold nuggets here. So I've got one more question for you. It's kind of related. How do you manage time with clients, especially when you're doing a lot of things like attending events, traveling, writing content, side projects? How many side projects you got on at the moment?
I don't know the number. There's too many.
A dozen, yeah. And you're contributing to WordPress and open source as well. So how do you
launched a new one last week? So
you got 2 minutes to tell me how you cope so that all of us can learn from that. How's that?
Calendaring. When somebody says they need to meet with me, I send them a calendar and it shows them my only open time. I block Tuesdays and Friday afternoons for my calendar to get things done without interruptions. So on a Tuesday, I might be out with my camera, or I could be sitting down building an entire website, but nobody has an appointment with me on Tuesday or Friday afternoons so that I can get things done and not be stressing all the time. So if you want to meet with me, it's going to be Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday morning. And it's going to be according to my timeline, not to theirs.
Wow. I didn't like when I was an agency, and even now I don't like meeting people on a Monday or a Friday, because those for me are the busiest days of the week. On Monday at Atarim now, we have a few internal meetings. We have tidy up from the weekend, whatever happened over the weekend. We have customer success calls, sales calls, all those things, all on a Monday. And I'm going, I can't really see you on a Monday. And then Friday, you're getting ready for the weekend, right? So people go, can you just do this? As an agency, we were always penalized by, can you just do this? Yeah, I can just do that 4-hour event calendar input, implementation for you. No problem at all on a Friday evening at 4:30.
That's the other thing, is setting expectations. So not just setting boundaries, but setting expectations. So when somebody says, I need this added to my website, you are able to say, my calendar allows me to do this next Tuesday. If you need it before then, I can subcontract that out to somebody else. It will cost more, and this is what it will cost. But my calendar will allow me to have that done next Tuesday afternoon, barring any, issues with it being, done on the whatever it is on the website, adding a plugin or whatever. And setting up a calendar. Setting good expectations.
Brilliant. So are you going to go into the lounges today to network if anybody wants to ask you any questions, or are you a bit busy?
I'll go in right now for a little while. Actually, I do have a meeting at 10 o'clock. I'll go in a little bit later this afternoon because I have meetings through until noon, so I forgot about those. But I'll be in there later for sure. Anybody can reach me at my website, michellefrechette.com.
Brilliant. Thanks, Michelle. I really appreciate
you.
So I'm going to end the stream. And thanks. I'm sure everybody really appreciates your time for Atarim. And also, people, go into the sponsors booths, have a little look at what the games are being played. And I'm going to play us out with a little advert as well.
Sounds good. Thanks.
He says.
Tired of wasting time deciding on web hosting or a domain name for your business? Meet Alta AI, the new smart AI-powered hosting advisor from AltaHost that recommends perfect hosting in seconds. Just ask a question or choose a domain.
Let me quickly search for the domain and see if it's still available for registration.
Alta AI analyzes your input and shows you exactly what you need. No logins, no complications. From WordPress to e-commerce, gaming to complex projects, and beyond, Alta AI instantly points you to the ideal hosting choice. Make every second count. Ask your question. Launch your dream today. AltaHost. Settle your online life.